Good morning. I'm Matt Driskill, editor of Asian Aviation Magazine and AsianAviation.com. Welcome to the latest in conversation, sponsored by Metrojet of Hong Kong. Today we're speaking again. It's been a long time with Carst Lindeboom. Hope I pronounced that right. He's the director for Asia Pacific at regional lessor TrueNoord. Carst, welcome back to In Conversation. It's been a few years, but thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Happy to be here. I'm looking forward.
Good. You're currently in Jakarta. We spoke about that just before we came on the show. Some people out there may not be familiar with TrueNoord. Give us just a very quick tour of the company, very, very quick.
Yeah, sure. Luckily, I get to introduce TrueNoord less and less because our name gets more familiar. But we are a regional aircraft specialist, so we lease regional airplanes between 50 and 150 seats, mainly ATRs, Embraers, CRJs, Q400s, A220s. That sort of fleet. Our head office is in Amsterdam. We have a large office in Dublin as well, and an office in Singapore where I'm based. I take care of the Asia Pacific region. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. And I think you moved to Singapore, what, was it 2021 when you moved there and opened the office?
No, it's already 19, so it's more
Okay.
than 6 years now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. I thought I was finished talking about the pandemic, but it does come up in the questions sometimes. The pandemic is over. Hopefully, we won't have another one for another 100 years or so. Aviation came roaring back after the pandemic restrictions were lifted. Flights are full. I've flown a few times. Capacity is full. People want to fly. Problem is now we'll get to the tariffs and all the other madness going on in the world in a little bit. But airlines are facing problems. People want to fly. Prices are up. Problem is now deliveries are a big problem. We've all read about Boeing's problems. Airbus can't get, a lot of the things that it wants. So Airbus has capacity issues in terms of building. And then now we've got all the other stuff coming in. Um, but people are looking at delivery times, 7 to 8 years on wide bodies, narrow bodies, maybe 10 years. I mean, the order pipelines are full. I don't know how you get an airplane these days. What are you seeing from the sort of the supply of product, which are airplanes, your product? How is the supply sort of affecting you?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we're tired of talking about the pandemic, but the follow-on effects are still there. So supply chain issues are actually coming from that phase when the OEMs stop production or slow down production, and the supply chain also stopped producing and has difficulties to catch up again. Now the OEMs want to bring back the production in full swing. We are not in the narrow body or wide body space. We are in the regional space. In the regional space, the numbers are different. The numbers are much smaller. And also the effects are less severe. So on the turboprop side, it's mostly landing gears at the moment, which is an issue for ATR. ATR is the only turboprop product still in production. So ATR is struggling with keeping up the deliveries as they would like to, but we're not talking about 7 to 10 years delay. We're talking about several months. To half a year kind of delays, and also the total numbers need to go up. The production rate needs to go up. On the regional jets, it's a bit the same. There, it's mostly the geared turbofan engine with a shorter supply. There is, for instance, in Toulouse, there's Air France painted A220s without engines, just waiting for engines for those aircraft to be delivered. On E2s, it's slightly better. Their delays are within several months, which of course is also bad. If you compare it to the narrow bodies, it's much better.
Okay. Um, so Eric, you're a lessor, obviously. You like it when lease rates go up. What are you seeing now? Are the rates going higher? And again, we can talk generally speaking for the main industry, and then you can talk about the regional, the E-jets and the ATRs and things like that. But how are the leases going now? People signing new leases for older planes? They extending their existing contracts? What's happening with that?
Yeah, definitely. Due to the shortage of supply, airlines tend to extend leases. I think that's the case industry-wide, so also on narrow wide bodies, and also on regional. So within the last year, wherever leases were ending, we've always had discussions on extensions. Um, and the shortage and the shortage of supply does have an effect on the lease rentals. But it's also because, I mean, I always say, unlike in the narrow body space, we don't go around our head office high-fiving with great lease rentals. We are just happy that we're kind of reaching back to a normal level. So and that's the big difference. If you just look at the base lease rentals and whatever a lessor needs to make in order to break even, we're just getting there. And then we came from a COVID times where lease rentals in some cases even halved, which is, I mean, lessors did it only just to place these aircraft on lease. Luckily, we were on the good end of that, so we didn't have to drop our lease rentals to that level. But others did, which created a market lease rental which was way too low and was causing lessors in our space just to lose money on existing leases. And now we're just getting back. So you see that also in the appraisers forecasts. You see the lines where the narrow body lines go way above the 2019 levels. And on the regional jet, we're catching up. On the turboprop side, we're not even there. So we need to get back to a healthy state, especially also because interest rates have gone up. So costs for lessors have gone up, and lease rentals haven't always caught up. So what we've seen in the last, let's say, lease extension discussions, that we really had to educate lessees, our current lessees, but also the market where we need to be. In our space, there's less price points, there's less trading, there's less remarketings than in the bigger narrow body fleet. So we really had to, over the last year or two, really had to struggle and negotiate hard and explain to lessees that forget about pandemic lease rentals. We're now getting back to a healthy state, and I think TrueNoord has been leading in that exercise, and especially on, for instance, ATR 72-600s, managed to get lease rentals back to a healthy state. Again, not trying to push high lease rentals on our customers or too high lease rentals. Again, we're not high-fiving in the office about making tons of money. It's just getting to a healthy state.
Well, I would high five making more money in my office, but it would just be three cats and me outside because I work from home, so I don't have anybody to high five here. Speaking of money, which is obviously one of my favorite subjects, the crazy guy that's in the White House right now has really stirred up a hornet's nest with global tariffs. Do you have, does TrueNoord have a tariff team looking at what's going on? And I was doing a lot of reading the last few weeks. I'm curious how tariffs are going to affect the leasing industry, the aircraft leasing industry, because is it going to be the entire value of the airplane? Is it going to be an engine? Is it going to be avionics? Is it going to be the landing gear that you were talking about earlier? Because it's crazy with what's going on. Boeing is talking about it, and again, let's start big picture, and then we can go down to the regional where your specialty is. But how is TrueNoord? Again, do you guys have a tariff team somewhere in Amsterdam looking at the financial ramifications of all the tariffs?
Yeah, we don't have a tariff team, and we're a small company, but we do have a in-house tax counsel, and it's a very bright guy. He's working hard on understanding what's happening now. It's a
Well,
bit too
I don't
soon.
mean to interrupt you, but when he does understand it, will you give me a call?
Yeah, yeah, no, true. Yeah, well, I was just trying to mention that it's a bit too soon to fully understand because it's also a bit of a moving target. Um, there's a lot of unknowns, and especially as you say on so where the tariffs are on what parts, the entire aircraft, maybe even on leases. And we provide a service to US lessees. Is that also subject to tariffs? So we're now in the last, let's say, week or two, have been trying to get our heads around what it means for us and what it means for the entire business. And it's not easy to tell, and it might be also a bit too early to really see what will be the effect. But we know that there will be an effect. As we understand, it's mostly on entire aircraft, or in case of importer, so in case of for a lessor, we usually deal with entire aircraft, but if you're an OEM, you need to import parts. There it's different. So the US based OEMs, they need to import non-US parts, and there of course there's tariffs. Currently, it's only the baseline tariffs, but within less than 90 days, maybe also further tariffs will be on there. So there's a lot of unknowns. Um, I think in general, what we're most worried about for the time being is the effect on our customers, and especially the effect on our customers not in the US. So if we look at Asia, there's a lot of Asian countries hit hard by tariffs. Um, we have aircraft, for instance, from Bangladesh. Bangladesh went through a rough period. Already had problems with their currency, then went into the political instabilities, and now are hit by one of the largest tariff percentages, and are heavily reliant on the garment industry exports to the US. So our customer there will likely suffer from this entire tariff issue, and that of course will have an effect on us as well. So for the time being, that's what we're mostly following.
You touched on this just a minute ago in when you were answering that, but I'm curious because you're a non-domiciled, non-US domiciled company. You're in Amsterdam, obviously, Netherlands. Uh, and I'm curious because you're in the Netherlands, so you're a non-US lessor. You've got a US customer, and again, does that I mean, you're not paying for that, but I'm just curious, is there an effect that is different from a US based lessor? Are you an advantage or a disadvantage?
Um,
Or should we ask the tax guy?
No, no. So in general, leases are net leases. So the lessor doesn't pay tax, basically.
Right.
So we might pay tax in certain cases in our own jurisdiction, but in general, leases are very well written, and the lessor doesn't pay tax or tariffs. So that's the case here as well. So we have several US-based customers. Um, with the aircraft already there, so they're already imported. As we understand, there's no specific tariffs either. There's no rule out on where the registration is, who is the owner of the asset. It's simply the product being imported in the US, and the importer is due to pay tariffs, which in general is not the case for us, but it will be the case for our customer. So whenever we would lease, let's say, an Embraer into the US, then our customer needs to pay the tariff on that. And of course, in the end, the passenger, which will be a US based passenger, because we operate regional aircraft, will pay a higher ticket fare. I mean, that's probably how it will go.
Right.
The other way around, if we would, so if a US lessor would lease into a non-US airline, there the question is there counter tariffs in that particular jurisdiction, which for the time being, for instance, in Europe is not there. Also in that 90-day stay period, but that might change as well.
Okay.
That has to be seen. I think the biggest battle going on now is China and the US and China blocking Boeing products.
Right.
That of course has a major impact on Boeing and the US economy, because Boeing is the largest US exporter.
Right. And let's stick with the OEMs for a second, because it was kind of interesting when I was reading this other article. Uh, so it's the OEM, so it's let's say Embraer or ATR. Let's say you've ordered 10 ATR 72-600s or a couple of E-jets or this or that. And Embraer or ATR says, well, sorry, we're going to be delayed, or we're going to declare force majeure because we can't get the parts from the U.S. supplier. We can't, or it's going to be delayed because we've got to refigure our money situation, our cash flow, and so on and so forth. So do you think OEMs will cancel contracts and declare force majeure, or has it not even reached that point yet?
Yeah, difficult. I mean, first of all, I've been in this business negotiating lease contracts and force majeure clauses for more than 20 years now. This was always legal stuff, you know. We would never use a force majeure clause, act of God kind of thing. It's nice to have in a lease contract, but we will never use it. Well, that clearly has changed, especially already since the Russia-Ukraine war, where force majeure clauses have been used. Um, so now the question do tariffs also fall under force majeure, whereby I'm not a legal expert, but I doubt whether that will happen. It also depends on which jurisdiction will be ruling about this. But I think in general, tariffs and the tax impact are too little to declare force majeure. But it does create a debate on where the risks are and who's taking risks of sudden tariff increases. So in future contracts, this will definitely be a discussion, whereby, of course, the OEM or the supplier would try to pass on that risk to to the buyer of the part of the aircraft.
Okay. Karst, I mean, that's very interesting to me because I think in this whole tariff war that's going on right now, the only people that are going to make money are the lawyers and the accountants. So,
Yeah.
but that's always the case. Lawyers and accountants always get paid. Karst, we're going to take a quick break here to hear from our sponsor, Metrojet of Hong Kong. We'll be right back after this.
We're going to have the crown jewels of Asia, and I promise you we're going to have the nicest and busiest business aviation hangar in the region.
And we're back. We're speaking with Carst Lindeboom. I hope I got that right. Director for Asia Pacific at Regional Lessor TrueNoord. Just before the break, we were talking about lessors and OEMs, things like that. I do have a quick question because of Boeing's problems, which everybody knows about, because of Airbus is also affected by supply chain problems, things like that. Let's talk about Embraer, which is you have a lot of Embraer planes. We've also got Comac, which is interesting. Is this time right now advantageous for Embraer or Comac? Is it time for Embraer to kind of shake up the market a little bit? I know you've been working with them and the regional jets, point to point here in Asia. I mean, I live in Phnom Penh. It's 2 hours to Singapore. It's 30 minutes to Bangkok. It seems like, an E-jet would be perfect for those point-to-point routes. Do you see those OEMs like Embraer or ATR? I mean, are they stepping up to take advantage of things?
So in general, globally, definitely yes. Because of the lack of supply of narrow bodies, airlines also, of course, are thinking about the alternative. And so that alternative could be a regional jet in many cases, which is not only the Comac or the E2, but also the A220. You've seen that Airbus, for instance, has been pushing the A220 product as their 320 order book was quite full, and that had a quite success over the last year or so. You saw E2s really catching up. So more and more airlines have been looking at that product, and if you look into that deeper and really make the network analysis, they realize that this is a very viable alternative, as you say, in smaller city pairs. In general, there's a lot of city pairs in many countries who've actually gotten smaller, not bigger. Yields have gone up, so ticket prices have gone up, which caused a more healthy situation for airlines. But also caused the total number of passengers to go down a little bit, and then you can really right size by using a regional jet. You've seen, for instance, Scoot, Singapore Airlines, going into that product and operating routes they would otherwise not do by right sizing with E2s. Qantas has selected the A220, now Virgin, the E190 E2, which is also an interesting move. And recently ANA has ordered E2s as well, really because they see the benefit in their network structure. And I do think this is the start. So you've seen in, especially Southeast Asia, regional jets were really struggling, simply because the power of the LCCs and the large number of narrow body aircraft already there and orders still coming. Whenever whenever a regional jet could land, a narrow body could land as well, and the Viet jets of this world came in and took over that route. But that's kind of changing. Also, the Viet jets of this world are looking at regional jets and really connecting tier 1 to tier 2 and tier 3 cities within Asia Pacific. And that's something which we have already seen for decades happening in Europe and the US, but now is also happening in Asia. And I think that's a very interesting development. So we're keen to follow that because that's right up our alley, of course.
Okay, quick question about Comac. I know, they're talked about a lot about competing with Boeing, with Airbus on the narrow bodies. Do you see them breaking out into, I mean, it looks like, Southeast Asia is a good market for them. China Airlines, of course, are the only ones I think that are, there may have been a few other orders. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you see Comac as a major competitor anytime soon, or do they still have a long way to go?
So yeah, first of all, we've been working over the last year with Comac on several projects. We've signed an MOU with them to cooperate on several projects within China. We have a good relationship with the company. I think it's a very professional OEM. Which is on the verge of producing high quality products. They started with the ARJ21 or the C909, as it's called now. Then they moved on to the C919. It could be an alternative to the existing non-Chinese OEMs which are already there, but a large part will be in the adoption in the rest of the world, also in terms of regulation certification. So the ARJ21 is certified in Indonesia. I think they're working hard on getting it certified in Laos at the moment. But to get EASA certification and FAA certification might be a bridge too far. And if that's not happening, then for lessors like us, it's a product we cannot finance because we need to have a bit more fluid product and the possibilities to place it everywhere in the world. So not saying anything about the quality of the product, but the certification will be a major issue. The C919 might be different. That's a more Western aircraft with and that has chances to get a EASA certification at least. In the current times, aviation certification might be difficult in the geopolitical tensions between the two countries. But EASA, not today, not next year, but in the future might be possible. And if that's the case, then also this aircraft can fly in Europe and maybe other areas and regions, and it maybe also be financed by non-Chinese lessors.
Okay. Let's talk about your company, TrueNoord. You guys have been on a fundraising tear recently. I think you priced $400 million in senior notes. You upsized a term loan. How big was the term loan that was upsized recently?
The term loan went up to 450.
Okay.
But also we've done work on the warehouse. And of course, we issued our first high yield bond in the US capital markets.
Okay. Well, what's in store with TrueNoord for the financing? Are you going to be, I mean, are you looking to acquire any other companies I see Avalon is raising money as well. It seems like lessors are out there pounding the pavement, raising cash. Is TrueNoord, I mean, companies message this in a lot of different ways, but with this funding, is it replacing old debt? Is it for new acquisitions, for new airplanes, new product? Give us an idea on where the funding is going.
Yeah, this fundraising was really to develop the debt side of our company, so move from secured to unsecured debt. This was our first raise, which really helps our company to mature on the debt side. We're looking to in order to do this, we had to work with rating agencies. Big kudos to our team that we managed to get to this stage, and we managed to issue the first bonds. We're a bit lucky. It's right in between Trump getting into power and Trump announcing tariffs. So for the time being, this will also, I mean, it's too soon to issue another bond, but we will work to continue these efforts, and maybe, let's say, the next year or so, go for a second issuance. But that's really to develop the debt side of our balance sheet. We need to do the same on the equity side as well. So as our company is growing, and we will plan to continue to grow. The question how to grow, we're not specifically looking to acquire other companies, as you mentioned. There has been opportunities in that area, but we haven't really entertained that. But what we have done is buy portfolios. So there's been several other leasing companies offering portfolios into the market, and we have picked up quite a few of those. So we've actually doubled our fleet since the pandemic, which was partly due to SLBs with airlines, but largely due to buying aircraft with lease attached from other leasing companies, and we will continue to do so, and we will continue to be active in the SLB market. There might be also some opportunities buying naked aircraft and place them on lease. As we were in the market and capacity is scarce, we see a lot of airlines and our existing customers, but also new customers looking for additional lift. So wherever there's opportunities, we will take them. But on a conservative and steady basis, not to try to make too large steps, but grow steadily and organically.
Okay, sticky with future plans and everything. I'm in Cambodia. You're in Jakarta right now. And you mentioned before we came on that Indonesia is a very promising market for you. And again, as I mentioned before, Southeast Asia in particular, but Asia in general, perfect for point to point. A lot of smaller routes that can be done with regional aircraft, with the Embraers and the ATRs. Where are you spending most of your time on the road? Is it Indonesia? Is it India? Is it Japan? Is it Malaysia? Is it, I know you don't want to give away any company secrets or anything, and we certainly don't want to publish your travel schedule, but give us an idea of where you're putting your time and effort right now, and what's paying off. What do you see paying off?
Yeah, so we currently have customers, let's say in Asia Pacific region. We have customers in Maldives and India and Bangladesh, Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, and we're continue to be active to grow this. Indeed, Indonesia is an important market, being such a big country with a big population and a lot of islands, so perfect for regional aircraft operation. We already have a customer here, Wings, the Lion Air Group, but we're looking to expand in Indonesia. In general, over the last years, Southeast Asia has been quiet because for several reasons, but mainly also because the Chinese market hasn't come back yet. Chinese international traffic to Southeast Asia has always been very important, and Chinese tend to travel more domestically. So that had an effect. But we see this now in the last months, in the last half year, picking up really. Not only on the turboprop side, but also on the regional jet side, as we just discussed. Stronger markets have, over the last years, have been really Australia, South Asia, and then mainly India. So if you look at my travel schedule, it has been a lot of South Asia and a lot of Australia. If you look at what is our wish list, and I can be open in this, we don't have any aircraft anymore in North Asia, so Japan, Taiwan, Korea, that would be on our wish list to increase or to expand into. Again, we had leases with Mandarin Airlines, but we would like to do something there again. So we spent quite some time in Japan, in Korea, and then Southeast Asia. We don't have aircraft we do Philippines and Indonesia, but the rest of Southeast Asia we would like to expand into as well. There's many opportunities, just we're waiting for the right fit, so we'll see.
Okay. Great.
But it does require a lot of travel. That you're right in that.
Well, at least you get air miles and all that. I mean, I used to travel quite a bit. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have to travel that much these days, which is fine with me because the airports drive me crazy. Once you're on the plane, it's easy, but it's everything in between, the pain points from getting out of the taxi to getting on the plane. It just drives me nuts these days. Carst, last question for you. Give us, kind of get your crystal ball out a little bit. What do you see happening overall in terms of the industry, overall in terms of regional aviation, your specialization, and then also sort of what's in store for TrueNoord, say, the next year, a little bit further out from that?
Yeah. We remain cautiously optimistic. Of course, there's a lot of turmoil at the moment and a lot of moving parts, but we've seen over the last years and over the last many black swan events that aviation is very resilient and it will always bounce back, although for the time being, it didn't really see the hit from tariffs yet, but there might be some long-term economical effect. So we need to just work with that as it comes, and we will do so. We will continue to grow at our own pace as we've always done. So also there carefully and not too opportunistic. Choose the right partners, maintain what we currently have. So we have a strong portfolio and a strong customer base, and so we continue to work with our partners to help them to stay profitable and to survive whatever crisis might be coming, if it comes at all. One other thing which we've been working on and we aim to continue to do so also on the long term is, as we have just discussed, traveling a lot, having a pretty bad footprint, being in this industry and traveling a lot. So we as a company have been doing a lot on helping various sustainable aviation projects become effective. We mostly focus there on OEMs developing aircraft in our space, so between 50 and 150 seats, with either electric or hybrid or hydrogen propulsion. And we're working together with a selected list of partners to help them to become successful, to find the right airline partners, to find the right funding. And that's something me personally, but also a few others in our team have been working hard on. And probably will announce in the near future also more to the public what we've been doing there, and inviting others to join us. So that's something which is really important for TrueNoord, and it's something we will continue to work on in the next years.
Great. Carst Lindeboom, I hope I pronounced that right again, Director for Asia Pacific at TrueNoord. Thank you for joining me in conversation.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure.